Okay, hey everyone. If you are watching the video of this at home, this is the weekly Misery Loves Company reading series. Today is Friday, the 2nd of October, and we already have to, I think, boot a troll. Seconds in. Yeah. Ree, are you legit? No. Okay. I ask that people keep their mics muted because that makes it really easy to tell who is and isn't a troll. Anyway, that interrupting aside, we've been doing these readings for, I don't know, close to 2 months now, I think. And they've been a lot of fun. Each week we have readings from new, I guess what I usually say is transgressive and outsider authors. So, well, here's another one. So with that in mind, now that we've gotten, I think, most of the trolls out of here, the first person I think up to read is John. And I'll be putting links to the works being read in the chat and also posting them on Twitter. So John, you're up
Yeah,
first.
cool. I'm going to read a piece that was published on Hobart. It's called The Ass is a Hole Where the Light Gets In. This is fuck. Is my internet stable? Can you hear me?
Seems like it. I'm not having any trouble.
Okay, cool. I just got a message. Let me give that a try. The Ass is a Hole Where the Light Gets In. This is a meaningful story about the intestinal parasite I picked up while living in Salt Lake City in Ted Bundy's house. Ted Bundy was a serial killer who preyed on women by pretending to be crippled. Remember this because it's important to my story. One of my roommates at Ted Bundy's former house, a guy named Larry, had recently pledged a fraternity. Under the frat's influence, he'd become passionate about barbecuing. He was just a pledge, though, so most nights my tofu dogs were burnt, his meat gory, the potatoes crisp and raw. I forgave him because I liked hanging out, grilling, getting stoned. By the end of the summer, I had dropped out of school, left Utah, left Larry, and moved home to Orange County, California. Cue to a few months later, and I was on my mom's couch, crippled by a hangover, watching basketball in my underwear, eating spaghetti. It was halftime and my team was getting its ass kicked. These bumps stink, I thought as I got up. On the toilet, I read John Fonte's Full of Life. This is important to the story, but not as important as Ted Bundy. In the process of wiping my ass through the thin ply of toilet paper, I felt something grotesque. That wasn't unusual. I wiped more diligently. When I was satisfied, I got off the toilet and stole a peek into the bowl. Sometimes I do that. Maybe you do too. If I'm particularly proud, I may leave it unflushed as a kind of, hello, this is my story. Anyway, my hand was on the lever, ready to flush, when I noticed that submerged at the bottom of the toilet was an undigested spaghetti noodle. How, I remember thinking, trying to re-engineer the scenario under which this 6-inch strand of pasta might have fallen into my boxer shorts. I'm a messy eater. Spaghetti is a notoriously difficult food, even for expert eaters, so anything seemed possible. Except on the couch, I had been eating thin angel hair, whereas this noodle had the round girth of udon. I peered deep into the befouled toilet and recognized, reluctantly, that this noodle was in fact a body. It was the body of a worm. I saw myself in the mirror, and it was like watching someone across a crowded restaurant choke. Up until that night, my body had been the whole of the worm's world. As I'd later learn, when its egg hatched in my stomach acid, the larva ate through the lining of my small intestine and entered my bloodstream. From there, it journeyed into my lungs to molt. From my lungs, the juvenile worm traveled up into my mouth on a cough. I should have spit that loogie, but instead I swallowed it like I did all my feelings in those days. Which is how I wound up spreading my ass cheeks with one hand, cupping my penis and balls with the other, begging my mom to pull the thick worm from my asshole. Push, she said. I felt the tickle of her fingers and of the anal worm itself pulled forth, slithering from my sphincter into the light of our world. The Maury Povich show was on television in the waiting area of the emergency room. The camera was close up on Maury's beak-like nose as he read the results of a paternity test. The camera cut to a toddler marked by the small head and thin upper lip of fetal alcohol syndrome. The camera cut back to Maury as he said the man on stage was not the father of the child. The mother hid her face. The man celebrated. Behind the curtain in the bowels of the emergency room, the doctor handed me a printout from Google that said I had probably ingested the parasite on undercooked vegetables fertilized in human feces. I thought back to Utah, Larry's lukewarm barbecue, the crunchy potatoes. Humans can host hundreds of different types of parasitic worms. I know this because, like the doctor, I Googled it. Parasitologists think that mine, Ascarsis lumbricoides, or giant roundworm, infects about 25% of the people in the world. That's the same amount of people in the world who are illiterate. Scientists have long known that intestinal parasites mimic the symptoms of pregnancy, causing the host's body to believe the parasite is a fetus, so the host's immune system doesn't attack. But a recent study, which I just read today and am sharing with you now, says that in women, Ascarsis lumbricoides may actually increase fertility. When I talk about that time, which I don't want to do, but will for you, I have the urge to say the abortion we had. The baby was each of ours after all, each of us cried. But it was Sasha who carried the baby too long into the second trimester. Sasha who took the pill. Me who watched basketball highlights as she hemorrhaged. Sasha who still carried the dead weight. Clots of cells she shed into the toilet. Sasha who wanted to set the spirit free and burn the pink abortion receipts in a bonfire on the beach. But it was us who never did. And so even after the pill and the suction hose, the baby's ghost remained to yoke us. Until finally it didn't. Until I went out to meet other girls, slipping on the leather jacket that hugged my body like a second skin. Like me and that animal were born for each other. You want to keep it, the doctor said, that night in the ER when I took the jar with my worm possessively. I did, though I couldn't say why. Still can't. That's me, or part of me. Eventually, I moved out of my mom's and into an apartment with friends. The worm lived on in the freezer. The two of us became infamous. At parties, I joke about being a proud parent, maybe hold the jar up to my face and ask, who's better looking? I'd watch my parasites socialize, pass between hands, thawing to room temperature, leaving rings on the coffee table, the beers and the worms sweating. Freezer burn turned it green. Still, I recognized the worm for what it was. Each time it defrosted, I wanted to ask, who fed whom? When we moved out, the parasite stayed behind in the refrigerator for the next tenant. Later, I went back to college. I took writing classes with professors who liked to push the idea that the relationship between reader and writer is mutual, that there is a give and take which you, the reader, make the text complete, that light shines through the orifice of your interpretation and illuminates the text, that the reader and writer exist in a kind of reciprocity or symbiosis. How do you like that? Do you like to think you give my story life, like to play a role in its emergence? like this, now me talking to you. You who came to my story incomplete, maybe a little crippled, with an appetite for what? Nourishment? An epiphany? Are you a parasite, dear reader? Am I? I needed to tell you this story, needed you to inhabit it. I adorned the story with truths and lies, decorating it like I did the converted dining room where I slept in Ted Bundy's house. I lured you into the story with the promise that Ted Bundy would return and meaning would be made. In the process, I aroused your desire, perhaps your sympathy, and my story wormed its way deeper. And now my story is over, and also it isn't. Thanks to you, my story has new life, to live in you, for you to carry wherever we go. Thanks.
Wow. The fucking journey that piece takes you on is incredible. From like the intestinal parasite shit, no pun intended there, was incredible, like was great enough, was just like visceral and awful enough. But the journey from that to the abortion to the like metafictional level was really like just stellar, just incredibly well executed. I don't know, I had a lot of fun listening to that.
Thanks, man.
Harris is up next.
All right. Tough act to follow. Should I just jump in? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I had muted myself. Yeah, you can just take it away. I put a link to the piece you were going to read in the chat.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so this is a story I wrote. It's called Who's Going to Wash the Dishes Now? The chef explains the dinner specials from a sagging desk chair because she had a varicose vein removed from her leg that morning. Rosemary pork shank with mint aioli, she says. Picks up a large cut from one of the plates on the dull reflecting metal table and slaps it onto her pink tongue. The entire staff waits for her to chew, front and back of the house. The general manager among them, radiating cologne and the toxic fear of a weak general about to be overthrown. How many times did he have to tell the dishwasher to remove that earbud? With a side of crisp potato fingerlings, the chef says through a fizz of pork. As the grease cascades down her chins, the dishwasher issues a short laugh, then covers his mouth. You're fired, get out, the general manager says, and points toward the red emergency door. At first, the dishwasher doesn't seem to hear him. Out. There is a trading of glances as the dishwasher finally exits. 20 some odd people looking around and shrugging. They're glad to see him go. He was always muttering to himself, always squirreling away the uneaten remains of chef's special cheese plates and cabinets. Forgotten melting molars of champagne Gouda, stinking Bishop, and Limburger cheese had been discovered in to-go containers more than once. Raw oyster with pomegranate vinegar mignette, chef says, as if not noticing the dishwasher's firing. She picks up an oyster and slurps it, the taste of which sends one wet eyeball flickering up into her brain. The yellowish white of this eyeball triggers something in the fry cook, and he yearns to pluck it, to swish the briny eye inside his mouth forever and ever, amen. If only my arms were 9 feet longer, he thinks. Then the chef concludes the dinner specials by palming a honeyed yam into her mouth and rolls off toward her tiny office, clacking across the greasy tile floor while the general manager claps his hands, saying, hep, 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 to the staff. The surgical incision on the chef's leg begins bleeding down her swollen calf as she squeezes into her office. She doesn't notice, however. There's a new dessert special, a flourless chocolate cake with undisclosed ingredients cellophaned on the desk. After closing the door, she quickly unwraps it, stuffs an entire slice into her mouth. She stuffs in another. the taste of which sends that one wet eyeball back into her brain after the special. In the alleyway, the dishwasher mutters, kicks an empty Mountain Dew bottle, and sends it skittering off on the axis of its head. I wasn't laughing at the chef at all, he tells himself. I was only practicing a laugh I laughed earlier and felt bad about. During prep, the fry cook had told them a story about breaking a little girl's skull in the school bus, back in grade school. I pushed her so lightly, it was an accident, he said. But then the fry cook laughed about it, and the laugh had startled the dishwasher, causing him to laugh too. I didn't mean it, the dishwasher says, now crossing a small park that features an oxidized statue of Moses parting the seas with his special powers. Not to mention his special girl was going to be righteously pissed about him losing another job and the no cheese plate. So the dishwasher begins excavating possible excuses from his mind to tell her. However, after a while, these scenarios begin branching off into others, and a far-off look creeps into his eyes. Special, 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 he repeats. A dog walker overhears this, where she is crouched behind a bush, poking through her French bulldog's still warm shit to see if he passed a used condom he ate that morning out of the trash. She can't make out exactly what he's shouting, but she feels threatened. She has watched enough episodes of Law & Order SVU to know. She picks up her cell phone, calls the cops. There's a lunatic in the park, hurry. The policeman who drives along the edge of the park looking for the dishwasher is fresh out of the academy and hasn't gotten many calls. Already adrenaline revs in his veins. After a few laps, the policeman finally spots the perp, a skinny man in an apron gesturing wildly at a statue of Moses, and aims the spotlight at him. Hey, stop that. But the dishwasher doesn't stop that. Special, special, the dishwasher repeats, even after the policeman wrenches up his arm. Special. I'm trying to help you, sir, the policeman says, but the dishwasher isn't listening. No one really is listening. Not the chef, not the general manager, not the fry cook, not the dog walker, or the policeman either. Yet somehow it still unfolds.
I'm really glad I didn't eat dinner immediately before this. We've had two like food horror stories after another. No, I really like the arc of that piece though. Like it ends in a place that I could not have possibly anticipated given where it started. And I know I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like the description of the subtle biological details there, like the eye thing. That caught me. I really like that.
Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah, no, that and the woman fishing through her dog's feces to try to find the used condom. That image is going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that was a thing of beauty for sure.
So, is Manny here? I don't see Manny in the participants list. I know he had said it was a maybe, so maybe something came up. In that case, is there anyone who would like to read? As these things have gone along, like the line between like scheduled readers and open mic has completely like been eradicated. So, if there's anyone here who'd like to read, just let us know.
Hi. I would love to.
Carter, well, now's as good a time as any. If you have the piece.
Yeah, I can read it. It's out somewhere, but I don't think it matters if I read it. I strongly doubt anybody would mind.
Cool.
Let me pull it up really quick.
Mm-hmm. Sure thing.
It's very on theme with the previous two.
Yeah, that's what it sounded that way from what you were saying. So it seems like this would be a great time to read it. You know, it's just going to be like intestinal parasite night.
Yeah. Does my mic sound okay?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Cool. I don't have a link for this one, sadly. So you had to be there.
That's totally all right.
So this story is called Fluppies. I wrote it with Ian Kapos, who is another Twitter writer. He actually lives in LA where I live, but we met on Twitter and wrote this story. Things were burning everywhere outside. I took this as an opportunity to get reacquainted with my body. It started with yoga, some kundalini, some humming. Quickly, it deteriorated into meditating over the burn of jinn in my solar plexus. The thing about your anatomy is that you can turn anything into an experiment. It all ends up coming out in the wash anyway. Playing the video game, I was unable to stop myself tensing up whenever shots tore through my virtual body. My avatar would let out a truncated garble when the shots were lethal. My real body jerked as if pulled by strings. It's not dark enough anymore. The children are crying. Their short lives have only been dark and eternal black stillness. Now there's a deep red glow in the distance and they don't understand it. We lie and tell them that we understand it. We drag through the murk, drawing closer to the sanguine bloom. Some foreign tension seems to squeeze the entire world. A slush of hot pine washes in from everywhere. We turn to each other. We embrace. Things are changing so fast, we can only assume it has something to do with us. An earth-rending scrape shocks us backward, and the red grows deeper, wider, brighter. It's everything we had feared. What will become of the children? Excuses to stay home came easy. Like I said, things were burning, people were dying. If it weren't for the game, I would have canceled my internet. There was a feeling of wanting to say or do something, but even with all the right takes committed to memory, I couldn't regurgitate anything without sounding lame. Couldn't trust myself with social commentary. And I'd always been too anxious to go outside, even before everything. I was of no use to anyone. The itch on my taint had heightened. I never learned exactly where my prostate was, but whenever I scratched down there, the feeling was sublime, so maybe that was it. I hadn't done heroin in 12 years, yet here I was, cheat code acquired, circumnavigating my whole fucking character arc. It felt so good. I cycled through ointments, Neosporin, then burn cream, then finally resorting to old moisturizers some exes had left behind. Applying them felt right, even though I knew they did nothing, that underneath something still festered. Their scents cloyed around my asshole and genitals, my thumbs bruised into the joysticks.
Herpes.
Closer to the glow, we're assailed by a yellow squish that tries to eat through our necks, some starving ghost from outside making its way in. The world is poisoning itself. The young ones cough and sputter. We retreat to them, huddle them close. Everything will be all right. Another searing torrent floods the cave. We herd the children behind a swollen polyp and tell them again, everything will be all right. Yellow ghost, blazing pine coalesce around us, choking out whatever else we might say. Things are burning everywhere inside. The ground and the water in our bodies start to disintegrate. We have to do something. We join our tails and angle toward the red. Whatever is out there pushing and oozing toward us will destroy us if it gets in. Our only hope is escape. Our faces burn as we sink our bits into the membrane. We hold each other tight. We start to eat. In the game, on a certain map, you're deployed into an aquarium. The damage you can do to the environment seems limitless. You can shoot a small hole through the tank and watch the water pour out in a steady stream, or you can unload a shotgun so the cracks spiderweb out before the whole reef bursts free. With a PKM, you might spray a line so the tableau crumbles all at once, fish and coral erupting in colors before the wave can even land. Afterwards, the fish lie flopping on the linoleum floor. Sometimes members of opposing teams stop to gather in the aftermath, foregoing their mutual destruction to wade through the slippery bodies. If you're aimed directly at the ground, you can punch the fish into globs in all directions. If you punch at an angle, it'll send the fish sailing across the concourse, sometimes freshly opened and oozing where your fist had landed, sometimes not. The game developers after a time seemed to notice the trend. They added new fish, new impact physics, expanded the array of gore. They installed a pond to the map with new freshwater species to mutilate. The harpoon, a previously derided weapon, experienced a surge in popularity. Tirelessly, eyes frying in my skull like bacon grease, I leveled up. I unlocked new outfits. I cloaked my character in a giant trout costume, its skin shiny and scaly. It was like how I imagined my own skin was becoming the more I picked and scratched. Whiteheads, the kind you get when a new tattoo gets staph and you're not supposed to pop them, dotted my inner legs and wove up to my navel. I imagined their voices as wood nymphs, deceptive and high-pitched. Me, 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 me. The area behind my ears had swollen with lymph or something like it. Natural. Some people produce more lymph than others. The djinn combated a warm spread across my body with its own. When you stay someplace long enough, you assume that place will last forever. You forget how it feels because it's the only feeling. You eat the same things, you think the same things, you make babies and tell yourself this beautiful night might never end. Maybe for some it never does. The outside stays outside. But sometimes it burns its way in. Sometimes your perfect walls decide to kill you and all you can do is tear them down. Our chamber is flooded with chemical burn. Spiked yellow crystals drip down aquamarine grids, webbing us in, biting our skin. We eat and eat. The children's cries echo in the gloom behind us. Sounds emanate from the brightening gash. Great mountainous moans, knells of a dying universe. The children will melt away in blood glow. All will be for nothing. Our tails lock tight in that fatal determination that only comes in times of total panic. Eat, 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 or they'll never make it. Do you remember when they hatched? Yes, of course. It was like knowing our purpose for the first time. That's right. It was like searching the abyss for diamonds and finding them inside ourselves. We're getting full now. Where we work our jaws, we let in light, shimmering pink spears through the deep red. Liquid rust drains past us. We have opened small holes and they blink like the eyes of the world. There's something outside the universe after all. We bite and tear and jerk forward. The world lurches, sloshing us unmercifully. We hold on. The feeling was like waking up in my own puke, but the pieces were less rough and the hue and viscosity of the liquid was more homogeneous, clear with caviar-like lumps. There was blood where it pooled in my belly button. I couldn't find the source of the wetness. It had expanded underneath me, up from my shorts, creeping. The menu screen droned its dirge-like tune, the same one I'd fallen asleep to, but warbled now, its tone swimming far away. Whatever had leaked out of me in my sleep was still coming. I got to my feet. The whiteheads had spread to my soles and they screamed as they popped. With each step to the bathroom, I lost fluid. But had the fluid ever been mine? Perhaps I was merely shedding it, not losing it. Not losing it so much as shedding it. Not losing, not losing, not losing. The water in the tub was so hot. I forgot which handle I'd turned. 1,000 vaporous screams whistled from my skin as I went under. I let my head fall till only my nose broke the water, an aimless fin. Under here I could scratch and the water swaddled the pain, made the digging easier. Different colors entered the water, making new currents, movements that would outlast mine. With a tear and a final push, the light floods us. Red gives way to blinding white, to the ideas of shapes. Warmth, not unlike the warmth of inside, but with something otherworldly to it, something rapturous, a holy warmth. Shudders of the old world, currents of the new. We float free from our home colossus. Where we've made it, we have no idea, but we've made it. Our future does not die today. It is born here. The children emerge soon after, wriggling out behind us. They grow up so fast. It feels like moments ago they were still in their eggs, writhing translucent in the dark. Now they have many rings each, baubles pulsing from their tails to their snouts, nourished by our love and the flesh of our departed longhouse. They raise their heads to the crisp, blinding expanse of this new cosmos. They are brave. They will go forth to make eggs and babies of their own. We hold each other, watching them swim away. We are too burnt and twisted to follow except with our eyes. Our strength fades, our lights dim from the inside now. We feel the slime has melted off our eyes for the first time. Truly, we couldn't be prouder. That's it.
I really enjoyed that, but I have to say, I am so desperate to play that game now that you described, which I'm sure is completely fictional, and it bothers me that it is, because I don't know what it is. Like, the most satisfying experience in a video game is like, I forget what the term is for it, but like, when you kind of create, when the game gives you the space to kind of create your own objectives for play. And I love the idea of just like going into space and just annihilating that space, forgetting about like the game's objectives and everything, and just watching the fish flop around on the floor. You know, I don't know. I don't think the tech is quite there yet, but God, I wish it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the emergent gameplay angle. I think that's.
Oh, thank you, Rudy. That emergent gameplay was what I was trying to think of.
That's definitely cool. I'd like to play that too.
Nicholas, Rudy, I think Nicholas is up next, right?
I stepped away for a second, but I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Eris is after that, unless I missed someone.
Yes.
Eris may have sent the link directly to me. I'm not sure. So, Nicholas, are you still with us?
I am.
Cool. Yeah, you can take it away.
Awesome. This is an excerpt from a longer piece I've been working on. It's been published nowhere. Yeah. It's called After My Father, Greyhound Rides Around the West. Poverty kept me from relapsing. I spent most of my time sitting on the porch of the littlest mansion, smoking cigarettes, staring off into the gray, wet winter days of Portland, and thinking about getting high and imagining having the cash to pick up. I knew I didn't want to carry a habit again, that using could be a death sentence, but still I wanted to get high. I get a tickle in the back of my throat and remember the taste as a shot rushed the blood-brain barrier, that wave of euphoria as it crossed over. I had a chunk of hash, big as a hockey puck from California. I'd break off a morsel and blend it into my hand-rolled cigarettes. The buzz filled me with a warmth and numbness that almost negated my cravings for heroin. The introspective, slightly paranoid high reminded me that I didn't want to be a junkie. That as much as I loved my father, I didn't want to end up living and dying in a sad motel like him. But that sneaky, compulsive thought nagged me, suggesting that I didn't have to get hooked or I'd overdose, that I could get high every once in a while, take some pills or snort a little here and there. I won't even shoot it, I bargained with myself. My imagination drifted through the city, down Lombard, past the Fred Meyer, the car dealerships, and King Burrito, over to MLK and the sketchy car wash near the intersection of Killingsworth, past the Popeye's Chicken on Fremont, the gas stations on Broadway, the crowds at the mall, hanging a right at the tracks toward the Convention Center Max station, crossing the steel bridge into Chinatown, floating along the red brick sidewalks and the white walls of the Chinese gardens, and the sleaze of the neighboring strip club, the Magic Garden, over to Union Station and the Bud Clark Commons, crossing the street to the old post office, into the park blocks and up the little hill, hanging left on 11th towards Burnside and Pal City of Books, wondering where I could score. One day, me and Dan, a housemate studying to become a private dick, swapped stories and Sam Spade references on the front porch. Of all the punk houses in all the world, he walks into mine, while passing a spliff. The conversation segued to drugs and some 30 milligram roxycodones he bought at a party. They were pricey, he said, but $1 a milligram. I bought everything he had. We hoofed it over to Dairy Queen, a couple blocks away on Lombard and Ida, to respect the rules against hard drugs in the house. We wrapped the little blue pills in a $20 bill and crushed them with a lighter. After snorting lines off the back of the toilet, we strolled across the street to Fred Meyer's for coffee and loitered in the parking lot, chain smoking and chattering on about books and music. Every night after that, until the pills were gone, I lied on the couch, nodding in and out of a shallow but comfortable sleep, rehearsing how I would decline the next time that Dan offered to get high. And then every day I accepted his offer without hesitation. It wasn't long until Dan asked if I knew where to get some more. My mental wanderings paid off, and soon I was at the Greyhound station, exchanging cash with Jason, a street kid I knew from my last run, with 666 tattooed under his left eye and Kill Yourself on his right arm. He handed me 2 bags, one with some pills for Dan and one with a pebble-sized black marble for me. Do you have any clean rigs, I asked? I was using every day after that. Dan went to Salem to further his learning in catching old men climbing ladders and insurance scams at the PI Academy, leaving me to fend for myself with my habit. The Whole Foods on Burnside swarmed with business, so that it was easy to blend in and pocket things without being noticed. I stole Burt's Beeswax lotions, saffron, and whatever small items fit snug in my coat pocket and brought a high return. I was kind of hoping that was going to be a troll. Fit in my coat pocket and brought a high return. I then rode the Max to the Hollywood District or the bus southeast to another Whole Foods where I exchanged products. No, sorry, I don't have the receipt. My partner bought it at your other location, asked me to return it, but didn't give me the receipt. I'm sorry. For store credit, which came on gift cards. Suspicious looks, skeptical queries, managers called over to the customer service kiosk. Store policy trumped them all and allowed for the returns. Customer satisfaction and all that. I hustled the card either straight to a dealer for trade or to Safeway, who bought store credit for 50 to 75% value of the return cash. That Safeway bought these cards seemed strange. The drug dealers trading in store credit made sense. They could flip the card on Craigslist, use it themselves, give it to their families, or whatever. The dealers made no claims about moral integrity. But Safeway's policy seemed only corrupt. How could they not realize the system they created? Half the city's addicts plied this trade. Some days there were lines 10 people deep at the customer service desk, gaunt, shining under a thin gravy of a withdrawal, wanting to sell their cards. As long as you had ID, Safeway paid you out. A jar of saffron cost 40 to 60 bucks, depending on the brand, and the percentage paid on Whole Foods cards was 75%. One or two of jars put smokes in my pocket and kept me well for a day or two, depending on where I was with my habit. After Safeway, I hit up a Connect and went wherever they said to go. Usually it was somewhere downtown, but sometimes they were out on 82nd Street or some other far-flung location. When I got there, I set up with a book and tried not to pay attention to time. Whether someone said 15 minutes or an hour, count on them to be late. Lou Reed was right. The first thing you learn is that you always have to wait. Another scam was slinging books to pals. At first, I sold my own collection, whatever I already read that wasn't too damaged. Then one day, when the crates of books in the back of my dad's old Nissan were whittled down to old Paris reviews and some half-waterlogged novels which pals had no interest in, I stopped in at Barnes & Noble. I learned to steal from Corbett bookstores as a broke teenager. The security tags placed in the leaves work like a bookmark. Let a book fall open and it goes right to it. At first, I tried contributing to the Portland literary community, gaffling novels that I loved or wanted to read and selling those. I soon realized that this was bad economics, that novels are bulky and that fitting a stack of them into a messenger bag is clumsy. Plus, they paid out like shit. Pals paid 50 cents to $2 for Delilah or McMurtry. I shopped around the aisles at Barnes & Noble, started experimenting. Graphic novels were profitable, but sketchy because loss prevention actually peeled and stuck the security tags and dust covers. Art books, same thing. Tattoo books were left untagged for some reason and brought a couple bucks, but the best I found were automotive repair manuals. They were tall and thin and brought $5 to $7 a pop. I'd walk in, grab a stack, stop by the literature section to find something for myself, and post up in the cafe. I ordered coffee if I had money, some water if I didn't, and then read a while. I kept the books that I was stealing on the next seat over. When it was time to go, I slid these into my messenger bag like they're already mine, left some decoys on the table to be reshelved, and headed for the exit. There were close calls, times when I felt camera eyes watching me, or noticed another customer who seemed to be in all the same places I was, and had a keen but shy interest in me. I tried to be careful and left without taking anything on those days. I'd leave the stack behind and head to the Whole Foods or find some other way to feed my habit that day. The buyers at Pals noticed I was bringing in a lot of books. Looking up from the stack of automotive manuals and into my eyes, one asked where I was getting them. I said that I was cleaning out a dead man's house and that as reward for the help, his family let me take any tools or books that I wanted. Sure, he said, handing me a slip to take the register. Whether they believed my story or not, probably not. I was going to sell there until I couldn't. The scams, of course, were unsustainable, as was everything at that point. Aurelia, my host at the Littlest Mansion, was distant when our paths crossed there. I was around less and less, out foraging for drugs during the day, and returning late at night to crash out. The kids still argued while sleeping on top of me in the morning, but I was mostly unresponsive. Holland's sweet greetings barely registered a moment before I swallowed again in a drugged sleep. It was always the same. As I fell asleep in the early hours of the morning, I thought about what I was doing, how I was living, thieving, scabbed over with puncture marks, bloodstains on my jeans, and distant from those who loved me. It had to stop. I didn't want to find my way to any of the conclusions of the story I was pursuing. Mornings I woke up already sick or near sick and automatically started scrambling through the fear towards a shot. When I was high, all I thought about was kicking and getting out from under the habit. And when I wasn't, all I focused on was feeding the habit and fighting off the kick. That's all she wrote.
Wow, that was really, really fucking good. And you have an incredible knack for like creating like a sense of space. Like in your, just like, it's almost like the perfect like spatial, like I don't know how to describe it. Like I felt the city recreated through your writing, through your choice of spatial details, through your choice of environmental details. And that was wonderful. And I also really fucking enjoyed. It seems strange to call it like your level of technical detail when like the technique being described as shoplifting, but like the level of like precise technical detail when it came to laying out like just like what books, you know, your narrator chose to shoplift, like why, like the process. I love it. Was like, you know, like almost like heist film caliber shit. You know, I love that. It's
Fuck yeah, thank you. And thanks for letting me read.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for reading. So I know we've got a few. Eris and Jake have said they'd like to read. Do we have anyone else, Rudy, who has signed up?
Jake,
I don't think-
do rock, paper, scissors to who goes first.
Oh, I hear Eris, but I'm not sure if.
Can you put,
So I'm just going to take a very quick, like 5-minute break here. I have to run to the bathroom. While that's going on, if anyone would like to read, just say something in the chat publicly, and Rudy will watch the chat, and we'll keep like a list of who signed up for the open mic. So I will be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, Eris, you sound like you're muffled in a tunnel.
Well, how's everybody doing?
Not too bad.
Good. How you doing?
I'm feeling all right. I just figured we should fill the dead air for the video because,
Oh yeah, right. We're on camera.
yeah. I don't have any suggestions on how to do that, but
I'm doing
President's
okay.
in the hospital. That's a thing.
I've been wondering how many other politicians he got sick during those 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, he
That's right.
spent a whole night with Joe Biden on stage. Like,
I guess he tested negative. I heard. But
Oh.
Yeah, I heard Biden's negative. There's some senators who he infected, though. I saw at least one senator today who said they tested positive. So, like, yeah, he might have just, like, fucked up everything he wants by not wearing a mask. I don't know.
let's go.
How did he infect his wife? I think that's the biggest mystery.
He kissed her on the mouth.
That would never happen.
I mean, nobody said she liked it.
That's fair. Did y'all see that, like, news clip from, like, 2 days ago where, like, Melania is like, fuck Christmas?
Yeah. Oh, priceless.
That was really
Absolutely
cool. to me.
priceless.
So relatable.
First time I've agreed with anything that's come out of the Trump White House.
It makes me wonder how, like, all the culture war, like, war on Christmas people are gonna, like, twist their brains to be cool with that, you know?
Oh, they'll just call it fake news.
Right.
They've
yeah.
got the built-in answer. It frees
a
them
deep
from
fake.
everything.
This has been your Misery Tourism Political Hour. Thanks for tuning in.
There's always big news like 2 seconds before the thing starts.
I
Yeah.
know, it's crazy because it was just 2 weeks ago that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death was announced. Literally, it was like half an hour before the reading started.
You timed it perfectly to be in line with the zeitgeist of America.
For better or for worse.
We just did like 2 of these a day. We could just speed up history and like get to the we'll be within a couple weeks, I bet.
It'd be like that Lenin quote. What is it? Sometimes
yeah, like though decades
nothing
when nothing happens and weeks when decades happen.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. God damn. I mean, it definitely feels that way now. I just cannot. I'm like fatigued from the pace at which.
Yeah, ditto.
Like you would, under normal circumstances, people would still be like discussing the like unparalleled shit show of a debate from just earlier this week, and that are the Supreme Court appointment or like it's unbelievable. You just wake up with, well, I won't say a sense of dread because I guess I'm not that completely like
or Guilfoyle's sexual harassment lawsuits.
What?
See, that slipped under the radar for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, Don Jr.'s wife is now facing like extreme sexual harassment suits from when she was at Fox News.
That totally slipped under. Yeah, I remember reading that.
Perpetually walking around naked in front of her assistants, making her try to match dick pics.
See,
some of the details.
That old game.
Oh yeah, that's a classic, right?
Next, you'll tell me that she did penis inspection day for all her interns or some shit.
Oh, yeah, I would believe it.
It's something like that. Like the 24-hour news cycle would have made bank on that for 2 weeks. I hadn't even heard about it.
It's just like the news now is like, it's like the porn cycle where it's got to get more and more extreme and disturbing to like get a reaction. And that's just, we're at like 2 girls, 1 cup politics right now, you know?
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh,
System of a Down was right about violent pornography.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reading, I think Eris, we have Eris and then we have Jake and then has anyone else signed up?
Yep. It's Eris, Jake, then Hestia, then Ryan.
And Ryan. Okay, cool. Eris, are you ready to roll? She's still in the, I see her in the room. Eris, are you still with us? Jake, why don't you take it away and we'll come back. Oh, wait, actually, she said something in the chat. Gotta leave, it's fine. Oh, okay. In that case, Jake, why don't you take it away?
All righty. This is an older piece that I wanted to share that caused quite a bit of a stir. It's from back when you could post ads on Craigslist. I used to write Craigslist ads. And so I decided to write a misconnections ad one time. And I guess I'll tell y'all what happened after, if you can't guess. So the title is You Were the Brunette at Cafe Coco. I was sitting in Cafe Coco when you walked through the door. Bright multicolored canvas bag slung over your shoulder, oversized sunglasses and ballet flats, clean but stained from walking between classes and through the neighborhood. You approached the counter and waited with a smile, not fake impatient smile, dripping with entitlement and disgust that you weren't instantly served, but a real smile. Happy to be where you were and happy to wait 2 minutes to order your vanilla latte. You sat down 3 tables north of me, removed a textbook from the canvas bag and began to read. You reached into the bag hanging from the back of the chair and pulled out a pink-covered notebook and a purple gel pen. You placed them on the table, adjusted the bag, then turned back and altered their positions so that they were several inches from your latte. Your legs crossed under the table. You began bouncing your heel against the denim on your shin. The rhythm was deliberate and steady, not absent-minded. I wondered what song was playing in your head. I rifled through the songs I know, singing them silently to myself, trying to find a match. I soon realized I'd need to know at least what genre to have a chance at solving this piece of the puzzle. After 3 sips from your latte and 3 pages through your textbook, yeah, bud. Got a 3-year-old next to me. Cool. 3 sips from your latte and 3 pages through the textbook and 4 notes written, you closed the book and looked at your phone to see what time it was or check for messages, maybe both. You then looked at the door and back to your phone. You were waiting for someone you knew, but not a first date, not a business meeting of any kind. If that were the case, you wouldn't have taken the time to study. The meeting was taking time away from your normal schedule, but wasn't unique enough to abandon your routine. With your sunglasses off, I could see the light-browned desert eyes, wavy horizons and mirages in the distance. Your phone vibrated loudly against the table, and you picked it up quickly with embarrassment. "What's up?" you answered, smiling. You asked the person on the other end if they were serious. Your shoulders dropped, and the color from your cheeks disappeared, leaving you pale beneath your lightly tanned skin. Your nose crumpled, lips pursed, and then opened as you assured the caller everything was fine and made them promise you'd get together tomorrow for a manicure. I thought that your nails looked lovely, despite the paint on your left middle finger being chipped. It looked as though you have a nervous habit of picking at it with the thumb on the same hand. You hung up the phone, put your things back into the canvas bag, and threw it over your shoulder. You stood, lifted your left foot, adjusted the heel on the back of your right shoe, and walked out the door. I hated myself in that moment. Another wasted opportunity. Fear and self-doubt once again stopped me from making the moves I would think about later, replaying like a movie and altering it so I'm the hero, the man who was bold enough to simply go for it. I took a deep breath and held it until the count of 15. I headed out the door behind you. I could see you 20 feet or so up on the sidewalk, and I kept my distance, not wanting to make things awkward. You stopped and turned toward a car. I stopped, turned slightly, and pretended I was looking at something on my phone. I watched as you unlocked the door of a silver 2002 Honda Accord. I turned and ran in the opposite direction towards my car. You were about to drive off, and I didn't want to let this be another failure. I hopped in my front seat, watched you drive around the corner. I started my car and followed behind. I began to breathe heavily, thinking I was going to lose you. I mashed the gas and nearly hit a middle-aged woman in her stroller as they crossed the street. I yelled at her to use the crosswalk. When I made it to the corner, I could see you 4 car lengths ahead of me in front of a white utility van. I kept pace and followed, not wanting to get too close. I didn't want to risk ending up next to you at a red light. You took some odd turns and ultimately made it across town to a Walgreens. I pulled into the liquor store parking lot across the street and waited. You were inside for only 4 minutes. The automatic door slid open, and you were backlit by the fluorescent interior and holding a plastic bulky bag. I couldn't tell what was in the bag, but it looked lumpy and oddly shaped. Maybe toilet paper or feminine products. I couldn't be sure from this distance. Once we resumed driving, there wasn't any traffic to keep us apart. I pulled up close to make out the numbers on your school parking lot sticker. The strand of beads hanging from your rearview mirror swayed back and forth as you swerved to avoid a pothole. You looked in the mirror once, and I thought you may have noticed me. I smiled, and you looked back at the road, and I realized I was driving too closely and that it probably made you feel unsafe, so I backed off. 2 miles down the road, you applied the brakes and slowly turned into an apartment complex. I didn't want to freak you out, so I kept driving a short distance down the road to a gas station and turned around. When I pulled into the complex, I couldn't see your car. There were several options with signs noting each direction, routes to the leasing office, the pool, and building letters. I turned down several small roads, scanning the parked cars. Your vehicle is popular. I found 2 others that looked just like it, but the license plate just didn't match up. Finally, outside building K, I saw the plate I was looking for. I couldn't remember the whole number, but X4D was enough to solve the problem. I pulled into an empty spot. I had no idea which apartment was yours, and I thought about writing a note, but I was worried it would blow off or someone would take it. I sat there and waited as the sun set. One by one, the lights in your building came on as people returned home from work or just found the darkness inside uncomfortable. I tilted my head, trying to look through the blinds on each apartment from my front seat. The blinds were open on the bottom floor, but it appeared to be a model unit. The lights were on and everything, and it was in perfect place. It didn't look lived in. You wouldn't live in a place like that. At 10:23, I saw a set of living room lights turn off on the second floor, and I could feel that it was you. Were you in your pajamas after a shower? Had you brushed your wet hair and prepared to climb into your full-sized bed alone for the night? I imagined the layout of the apartment was identical to the model unit below. Then the front door opened and I saw you step outside. You were wearing a shiny black dress now with shoes to match. Your canvas bag was exchanged for a small purse with a chain strap. You stepped carefully down the first flight of stairs. I watched your calf muscles flex with each delicate step, letting your full weight rest on the toe of your heels before taking the next step. Down the second set of stairs into your car where you stood for a minute. This was my moment. I took one deep breath and grabbed the handle of my car door. Suddenly, there were headlights shining into my eyes, stinging them after having sat in the dark for all those hours. I recognized the Uber sticker in the front window. The interior lights came on and you stepped inside, closed the door, and the driver pulled away. I started my car and followed, but I couldn't keep up. The driver pulled out among the traffic and accelerated through a yellow light, keeping the distance between us. I thought I had a chance until I saw the far-off Uber's taillights take an exit and merge onto Highway 440. I slammed the gas and was soon at the exit, but by the time I made it onto the highway, you were done, and you were gone, in your pretty dress, with your hair pulled up nicely, and your calves sleek and well-formed. I was the tall, slender guy with dark hair hard parted to the right. I hadn't shaved, so I had a bit of stubble. I was wearing a blue plaid shirt, jeans, and brown shoes. I think you saw me. If you'd like to get another coffee together, please respond and let me know. So I posted that on Craigslist.
So what happened?
The cafe that I mentioned in that, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. So that cafe that I mentioned, I just picked out of a hat. I'd never been there. It's a real cafe. So people started calling the cafe and telling them that they need to be on the lookout. And then someone contacted me on Twitter. They found the story on a blog that I had where I had posted it like way earlier. And they sent me screenshots of this local Facebook group where all these people are like just going on about how there's a psycho on the loose and you got to be careful. And then they figure out that it's like fiction and they're like, this piece of shit is just awful. And so they tried to cancel me and I got called a gender terrorist and like all this whole nightmare. So I had to call the cafe and I was like, hey, I'm the guy who wrote this thing. Like, you don't have to worry. I've never even been to your cafe or whatever. And the guy was like, oh, thanks, man. We've been wondering about that. And I was like, I bet you have. And so then from then on, I stopped doing missed connections ones and kept doing roommate ads. So.
Yeah. Holy shit. That fucking rocks, dude.
Oh no, not gender terrorism.
Right?
Oh my
Every
God.
week I feel like you're trying to kill us with comedy.
You know,
Yeah.
So not to get too artsy or whatever, but part of like what I like about writing is that it's, you impact people and you get a reaction out of the reader and stuff. And my favorite thing to do is write things that fuck with people, not
I hear
like,
you.
not just when they're reading it alone, but like the kind of the medium itself. So like, the Craigslist ads and stuff like that. If it doesn't get a visceral reaction from someone, it's not as satisfying.
Yeah, I as someone who spent too much of my time as a young adult like trolling message boards and coming up with like fake shit and that kind of, I hear you. Like there's something uniquely satisfying about like introducing fiction into reality in a way that makes people freak the fuck out. And I think like that's one of the principles that kind of misery tourism is founded on, like that desire. Like Rudy and I just can't shake our desire on some level to be trolls and to take people out of their comfort zone. I think misery tourism is maybe one of the more benign outlets for that we've found. So I forgot who's up. Is Ryan up next, Rudy, or oops.
Oops. Ryan, we can't hear your mic.
Oh, or is Hestia up next? I'm sorry.
I believe Hestia is up next, actually.
Oh, okay, Hestia, you're up, and then Ryan's next.
Okay. I'm gonna read some pieces from this. I'm not sure exactly which ones, but we will find out.
Cool. I'll stick the link up on Twitter then.
Yeah, feel free to put the put it up on Twitter. Okay, I'm gonna read the last one in it, titled "Don't Worry, I'll Exile Myself." PTSD flashbacks are like elephants trampling your brain, giving ghosts of the past free reign over my soul. Innocent strip searched, suffering from a full cavity rape. Sing songs of sorrow to process it all, remembering little fragments that break my mind like an egg dropped to the floor. Where are you? You who claims they want to help me recover, what happened to fixing me up? Guess it was too much for you, just like everyone else. Another person who left me emptier than I was. Way back then, when we first fell in love, you said you would share my baggage with me. Guess that was said in naivety. Said in those heady days of when one first falls in love. It's okay. I'd leave me behind too if I could. And then I'm going to read Cut holes in my bones make my soul beautiful. Every day I think of him. I want his approval. I want to be true to him in every way. He is my rock. My love of him protects me from the schizophrenic demons who entrap me. In my restless nights, he shows me beauty beyond comprehension. My walls dissolve into golden calligraphy dancing in fields of white light. I feel the warm, glowing love of the divine and rest my sorry eyes. My heart may be a shattered, broken mess tossed to the seven winds, only fragments left, damned and screaming as they cling onto me, nails driven in. I never asked to develop the toxic mixture of a curse and blessing that holds my mind in its grasp. I never asked to see one-eyed angels drive knives into me, scrawling sigils into the fabric of my being. I never dreamed I'd see three-eyed, 10-armed devils rip me into little more than bloodied dust. Yet I do. I'll never again be free. All I have left is submission to God, a submission that keeps the worst at bay. When I pray the hallucinations end, delusions are dispelled, and paranoia is made obsolete. God will never forsake me. I will never forsake him. I hope I will enter the endless kingdom of heaven. Then all my pain will end. The oily stains of trauma, neglect, and sin will evaporate off my soul like the morning dew. May he make a martyr of me. And then the last one I'll read is pretty short. Titled Marked by Your Touch. Fields of golden calligraphy suspended in space. Divinity's endless realm of pure beauty made physical. Endlessly shifting, forever swaying. Losing myself in the dance of letters. Hours pass, only to wake from my restless dreams. The divine burned into my soul, scars of the hallucinatory. Only in dreams can I enter this realm. When awake, I'm just another soul trapped in moldy and mundane purgatory.
I got serious like Song of Solomon vibes from those pieces. Like that sensation of at first you're not sure, is this like a and I'm talking about like the biblical Song of Solomon, not the novel, but like that sensation of is this like a love poem like directed at a human being, or is this a love poem directed at God? And I mean, obviously the latter became clear as you went along, but I love that, like that tension there, you know, where it seems almost like a kind of earthly love rendered as a sort of spiritual love.
Yeah, I was actually, before I wrote those, I was riding on a train to Portland, and I was reading the Song of Solomon from the Bible, and it definitely was inspiring it. Except for that first one. That first one was just thinking back on like radioactive toxic relationships and shit.
Yeah, I really enjoy, like, as someone who grew up in like a really religious home and kind of was force fed the Bible for a big chunk of my life. I really enjoy like pieces that um refer back to like biblical stuff in a sort of subversive way, or in a way that kind of unsettles as much as it comforts, you know. um So next up is Ryan, I think. Are you with us, Ryan?
Test.
Oh, I hear you. You're pretty soft, though.
Test, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
That's better, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to try reading.
It might be a little close right now because we're hearing like a little bit of feedback, but.
Oh, okay. Is this better? Sorry, my mic setup is always like janky as shit.
No, it's okay. I think I hate to say this, but maybe just a little bit closer than.
Okay, like this.
That perfect. Okay, you got it. Sorry about that.
No, it's chill. My mic setup is always like a super jank show. Okay, so this is just like a B-side. It's me recording my friends playing WoW. They're both like, yeah, I'm just gonna try reading it, so whatever. This is called The Midnight Sun, which being the moon is a funny way of saying it. Okay. Just in case I have to tell you again, spelled, pronounce the whole idea behind it. If there ever was an idea behind it, I've forgotten. I just didn't know. Illiteracy runs deep. Remember when you told me I should save everything? Since I'm not enchanting anymore. I just don't know what I'm gonna do. Jewel crafting better done with something else. I don't know. It's a racial thing since we're aliens. Sample all the edible plants. I know exactly when. You can't flight path it because we're in enemy territory. Let me take a deep breath of failure. I must say though, I think it's pretty dank. I think it's pretty stupid. You have to choose. Conquest? I don't know what you're talking about. Something of that caliber. I had the offhand of it. For sure. Just a matter of whatever. I see what you're saying. Drops to 72%. Sounds like a lot of numbers. I just don't necessarily know anything. It doesn't take that much. If we change shit on kids and down the road we keep boosting it, that's where we'd excel. I gotta start facetiously eating because food is good for the mind. Wow, that was a fire beat. You're saying you heard that Japanese rap ensemble before. Are you guys talking about cheese grams? The microwave just went off. That's fun. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to come back here anyway. I'm gonna be riding my tiger for a while now. Oh, okay. Get used to it. Oh my god, that's amazing. How did that happen? All I need is 5 more now. Cheese at the store too, those are 2 different things. Why are you flying? How do you shoot that down? I don't know. I like how follow me across the whole map right now for no reason, pretty much. Stay mining. What you know about that? Okay, yes, okay, yes. Part of what I do, call him how I see him. Bitchback arch like a bow. I told you I was in it for the long stretch. Long neck. Ashes to ashes. I pray that death kiss my homies. My scars, my fists, my... Dude, what the fuck? Put the 4 Loco away. Please have another 5. Whoop, 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 whoop. Wait, fuck. Fuck yeah. I'll be able to mine so much of this shits. How about nah? Wait, what just happened? Disappear? Ashes to ashes, pray the death kiss my... Wow, now I gotta go all the way back. I don't understand why they did it this way. It's funny because you're going all the way towards... I'm going all the way back now. Course correct. Low key, on the lowest of keys, on the lowest of keys, on the lowest of keys. I'm gonna do this fucking... Wait, that's not a good reward. Clergymen turn me into ashes. Yo, not you. What is this? No, I just got all the way over here, dude. I told him. I don't know why he's sitting there and playing, but not... Oh my fucking god, that guy's such a... This little ghost troll, he's like fucking with me. I gotta kill this dirty beast. Oh, there's no way I'm gonna be able to kill him with my 2. Oh, and he failed. He just started idling. What a bitch. I'll swear to God. Oh, dude, he heals too. That's great. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. What just happened? I'm doing this quest and it's hard as fuck. I had a bunch of stuff I hadn't been doing the whole duration of the night I was up. So sad, but yeah. You tell yourself you're gonna do it, and then you get to the reality. Oh, hell no, I would hope so. I'm a versatile person. Person? Entity. I can't believe that would actually be true. I'm no more of a human being than a fucking pig is a rabbit. It's nice to think, though, I could have been one of you guys. Okay, that's it.
I love the idea of like WoW chat logs as poetry. That's like, I don't know, it's a phenomenal idea. Are those actual like logs from playing session, or is it?
It was just me listening to my friends bullshitting, playing WoW, and I was just copying down the best things that they said and trying to make it into like a poem.
No, that's great. That's great. It was, like
No, there's no link for that. It's just a B-side in my Google Docs folder. It's
What-
like an internet. I made it into an internet post on like a forum that no one will ever read. So. It's
What
just,
period of time, like length of time, was
Oh,
that over?
this was like a month ago during like my really dark period where I felt like I had nothing going on artistically, like at all. I think like the one thing I wrote that I liked was a poem that I put on Nauseated Drive, and that was like a collage of things from like just different mediums. None of them were really my words. So it was just like I was just trying to experiment because I had like nothing creative going at all.
That was awesome, man. I loved it. Loved it.
But I feel like I'm better now.
Yeah, that was amazing. I
Thank you.
love the
Thank you.
idea of WoW chat logs as poetry, or anything that mixes like the things like the daily like kind of reality with fictional or otherworldly stuff. It does feel otherworldly almost to listen to something like that. It's pretty cool.
Thanks.
If you've only published that on a forum, maybe you should find another home for it. And maybe our submission theme for October is cosplay, which is in a very similar vein. That's all I'm saying. So,
I thought it was like on point for tonight anyway. Yeah.
So Rudy, who's up next?
I think the queue is empty now.
Okay, I think Andy sent me a private message. Is that right, Andy? Did you want to read? Oop. See him in the chat. Oh, okay, Andy. Yeah, if you want to. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you did unmute.
Yeah, my bad. Can unmute.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm down to read. Thanks for putting a space up like this.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming.
Yeah, this is
So-
cool.
Oh, sorry. So what kind of piece do you have for us?
I kind of want to read a poem. I haven't done that in a while, so.
Cool. Yeah, take it away.
A Monday morning in Richmond is like waking up with your head shaking with commotion. You pray while you take a dump. You end up going across the street to Starbucks with $3.60 left on your credit card. For some reason, unbeknownst to you, you feel you're a Renaissance artist, brought to earth to perform studies on human beings. Little by little, you realize that you're the son of God. There's a moldy tennis ball in your pocket labeled God. Rap, or is it rock music that pumps through your ears? And you're not afraid anymore. You start to notice the handwritten facade built around your surroundings, the State Farm billboards, perch above the scaffolding, your nose drizzles. Memories of the Christopher Walken impersonator on the keyboard. There is no real difference between the garbage man and your best friend, the one who supplies you with mescaline. And the come down feels like an Indian monsoon. Electrocute your senses, and now you're numb. The Toyota Avalon cruising up the street corner with the yellow high beams is not the White Witch from The Wizard of Oz. Trip falls, inhale smoke, speculate more. Dirigibles in the clear blue sky plummet down. You listen to your parents while you're stoned, wondering why Mom Dukes looks like Johnny Depp. Fingers tremble as you type out a handwritten letter from prison. You meant to text message your mom, Happy Mother's Day. And instead you typed out to her, Happy birthday, Mother. Lows and highs permeate through your heart. caving in, the walls crush into each other. You tell yourself everything's going to be okay as you swivel in your leather recliner. You can't stop coughing, you throw up on your clothes, and you start to think maybe you're fucking up, and you can't stop. Then you start to think maybe this is all in my head. The cold wind nips at your exposed ankles, or are those mosquitoes, red sores developing on the back of your elbows? Local pariahs far away from his hometown. Your favorite uncle has stage 4 lung cancer, and you're chain smoking menthols. What is this struggle? What is this loss? You pop prescriptions of ward-off insects gnawing away at your eyeballs. And the earth continues to spin on an uneven axis. When it comes to a point where fiction and nonfiction are void of speculation,
Wow, that was that. I love pieces that deal so like directly and unequivocally with mental illness. Like I love unreliable narrators, and even though that wasn't technically an unreliable narrator since it's told from the third person, I love pieces that take you deep inside like a diseased and damaged brain. And that piece really succeeded. I love the image of the moldy tennis ball as God too. That was spectacular. Oh, did we maybe lose Andy? Well, it was a good. Oh, we lost Sam.
Oh, yeah, it looks like he disconnected.
Well, Andy, if you're watching this video later, that was a great piece. Rudy, do we have anyone else up?
Nobody currently in the queue.
Does anyone else want to read? If not, we can call it a night, and I'll leave the chat open for a while, but we can end the recording and end the reading. But I do want to give people a chance if there's anyone who would still like to read tonight. No? Okay. I guess we'll call it a night then. Thank you, everyone who read. Thank you, Harris. Thank you, John. Thank you, Carter. Thank you, Hestia. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Eris, for almost reading. And I thank you, Ryan, as well. And oh wait, Andy's back. Hey, Andy, did you get disconnected?
I am so sorry. My Wi-Fi went out.
No, that's totally fine. I was just, were you kind of in the middle of the piece there?
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, cool. I was saying that I
feel really embarrassed.
No, it's totally fine. I was saying that I really dug that piece, and I really, I'm really very much into pieces that deal like very directly and frankly with mental illness and like take you inside like a uniquely like delusional perspective. And I think that one, like, it really succeeded at recreating a mind state that might be like totally alien to some people. Mm-hmm. I also really love the damaged tennis ball as God image. That was spectacular.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I said a few other things. Probably it will be on the video when it goes up. So.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Did my screen just went black, or like what happened?
You vanished. I imagined that you finished your piece and then created a puff of smoke.
That's crazy.
Behind which your visage dissipated.
That's a very good way to put it. That's how I'm going to imagine it now too. Also, so I think we were just wrapping up then. Like I said, thank you to everyone who read. I thank Nicholas. Thank you, Nicholas, for reading as well. I've said Carter, Jake, etc. I think I got everyone now, but yeah. So thank you everyone for coming. It's been a great night. I love these things. If you're watching at home, I guess everyone's fucking at home now. Nobody is not at home. But if you're watching this stream retroactively later in the future, we do these things every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe you should stop by for one of them. Watch the Misery Tourism Twitter feed. Okay, thanks, guys.